The Lord's Prayer, a prayer that millions of people around the world know by heart. Our Father, who art in heaven. It does not say my Father. It says our asterisk from the very first word. It reminds us that we are not alone, that we belong to something greater. It invites us to look at others not as strangers, but as brothers and sisters. And when you truly understand that, envy, comparison, and competition disappear, because someone else's success no longer threatens you, it inspires you. It is a phrase that has crossed centuries, languages, cultures, and generations. Yet few people understand its true power. Every line of the Lord's Prayer holds a lesson for life. It is not a prayer meant to be repeated without feeling. It is a spiritual code, a reminder of how to live with purpose, humility, and compassion. When you repeat it with your heart, you are not only speaking to God, you are also speaking to yourself. You are remembering who you are, where you come from, and where you are going, because in the end, every word of the Lord's Prayer invites you to awaken, to live with awareness, to trust the process, to see God not only in heaven, but in everything that surrounds you. It is not just a religious prayer. It is a universal teaching that, if you look at it with the eyes of the soul, contains the key to human balance, the connection between the divine and the earthly, between faith and action, between heaven and earth. The Lord's Prayer was not created to be recited in a hurry. It was created to be lived, understood, and felt. Every word was meant to remind you who you are, where you come from, and where you are going. When you repeat it with your heart, you are not only speaking to God, you are speaking to yourself. You are remembering who you are, where you come from, and where you are going, because in the end, every word of the Lord's Prayer invites you to awaken, to live consciously, to trust the process, and to see God not only in the sky, but in everything around you. Jesus is surrounded by disciples and ordinary people, people who were tired, afraid, searching for answers, meaning, and hope. And one of them asks him, Lord, teach us how to pray. Jesus did not give them a theological lecture or a complicated formula. He gave them the Lord's Prayer. A prayer so simple that a child can learn it, yet so deep that a wise person can meditate on it for a lifetime and still not fully grasp it. That is the magic of his words. Apparently simple, yet infinite in meaning. The Lord's Prayer does not speak about religion. It speaks about relationship. The relationship between human beings and their Creator, but also between human beings and one another. From its very first words, it reminds you that you are not alone, that you belong to a we, that everything in life is connected. And in a world that teaches us to compete, to compare ourselves, and to divide, that simple truth is revolutionary. We are not enemies. We are brothers and sisters. But perhaps the most powerful thing about the Lord's Prayer is that it speaks about the present, not about a distant heaven or an uncertain future. It speaks about today. About now. About what you can do with what you have right here. And that, as simple as it sounds, is one of the deepest lessons of the spiritual life, because true power does not lie in asking for miracles, but in recognizing that you yourself can become one. Every line of the Lord's Prayer an invitation to look within. To understand that life is not about waiting for everything to fall into place, but about aligning yourself with the purpose that was given to you. When Jesus taught this prayer, he was not teaching magical words. He was showing an inner path, a way to live with purpose, faith, and integrity. Our Father teaches unity. Hallowed be thy name teaches gratitude and reverence. Thy kingdom come teaches you to plant goodness on earth. Give us this day our daily bread teaches you to live in the present and trust in providence. Forgive us our trespasses teaches healing and letting go of the past. Deliver us from evil teaches you to protect your mind from fear and darkness. But what does the Lord's Prayer mean today? In an age where everything is fast, where people pray with their fingers on a screen instead of with their hearts, what place does this ancient prayer have? More than you might imagine. because the modern world has lost what the Lord's Prayer teaches: presence, humility, compassion, and trust. We live surrounded by noise, information, and constant demands. We want results without process, success without effort, faith without silence. And that is exactly where the Lord's Prayer becomes more relevant than ever, because it does not ask you to repeat words. It asks you to remember truths. It reminds you that you are not here to control everything, but to trust. That you do not need to understand the entire plan, only the step in front of you. That you are not here to accumulate, but to share. That you are not here to live in fear, but to believe. The Lord's Prayer speaks of the present moment because God does not live in the past or the future. God lives in the now. In the breath you take, in the moment you give thanks, in the decision you make. That is why it says, "Give us this day our daily bread," because everything you need to move forward already exists here. Not tomorrow, not later. Now. When you understand this, you stop living worried about what may come, and you begin living with trust in what is. Because faith is not about believing that everything will be easy. Faith is knowing that everything has meaning even when it does not seem that way. Yes. The Lord's Prayer also speaks about pain, mistakes, and forgiveness. It reminds us that we all fail, that we all hurt others, that we all need forgiveness. And in the act of forgiving, the soul is cleansed. Because forgiveness does not mean approving what happened. It means freeing yourself from what keeps you tied to it. And when you forgive, you become lighter, freer. Closer to God. And it is fascinating, because in one single prayer, the Lord's Prayer touches every dimension of human life: our connection with God, our relationship with others, the present moment, human need, forgiveness, the inner struggle, and the search for goodness. That is why this prayer has survived the passage of time. Not because it belongs to tradition, but because it contains a truth the soul recognizes even when the mind forgets, because it speaks about love, and love, even after centuries, never goes out of style. When someone prays the Lord's Prayer with the heart, they are not repeating ancient words, they are reconnecting with their origin. They are saying, "I trust, I believe, I am not alone. I am part of something greater." And in times when fear and confusion dominate the world, that is an act of power. The Lord's Prayer is not just a collection of phrases. It is a manual for the soul, a reminder that heaven is not a place, it is an attitude. That faith is not a refuge for the weak, it is the fire that ignites those who continue moving forward. Every time you remember it, you return to your center. You return to the silence where God speaks without words, and in that moment of calm, everything begins to make sense. The trials, the falls, the victories, the losses, because you realize that nothing was in vain. Everything you lived was part of a sacred conversation between you and life. The world needs to understand the Lord's Prayer again, not just repeat it. Understand it. Because within it lies the map humanity has been searching for centuries. How to live with faith, peace, and purpose in the middle of chaos. So do not see it as an ancient prayer. See it as an eternal message, a living teaching that still breathes today, here, within you, because as long as someone believes, loves, and forgives, the kingdom of God will continue arriving on earth. And every person who lives, it becomes a spark of heaven. The Lord's Prayer does not belong to the past. It belongs to the present. To every moment when you choose trust instead of fear, forgiveness instead of resentment, gratitude instead of complaint, love instead of judgment, right there heaven touches the earth, and you remember who you truly are. If every day you prayed the Lord's Prayer, not only with your mouth, but with your heart, you would see how your way of looking at the world changes. Because it is not about reciting it. It is about living it. Making it part of your decisions, your thoughts, your actions. So the next time you say Our Father, do not say it out of habit. Pause. Breathe. Feel each word as if it were the first time, because within those words lies the secret to living with purpose, faith, and love. And remember, God is not found in temples or books. He is found in the silence of the one who prays with the soul. And when you truly pray, you do not change God. He changes you. And that brings us to the end of this message. Now it's up to you. Don't let this remain just words. Act, share, comment, and be part of the change. Together we can make a difference. See you in the next video.